Welcome to another segment of the Fuel Report. We have one hell of an interview for you this week. I'm joined by none other than our Valorant manager, coach, and player, Boyc. I'm also joined by my co-hosts, Mins and CJ. Guys, how are you doing today?
You looking at me, CJ?
I'm doing all right. You know, it's a bit of a rainy, dreary day. Not that you guys can see outside. We're recording this day before you're going to see this air, so tomorrow, and it's absolutely disgusting outside. It's been a bit of a midday, but, you know, on the plus side, got to spend some time with my co-host, Night Flash, here, which was nice. A little bit of a change of pace, so, you know, decent, I guess. Alex?
You know what? I take an hour drive to get in here for these podcasts, and yeah, today my tire was actually low, so I had to sit out in the rain and actually pump it up. That was not a fun time, but you know what? You kind of have to do what you got to do sometimes. But I know, CJ, you called me and you're like, are you here yet? Are you coming here yet? And like, I just like could feel it coming from that phone call as well. Cause yeah, I was trying to rush on getting my way over.
Yeah, no, I was kicking it with CJ today, and this guy looks over at me at 4:45. We're supposed to film the interview at 5:15. He goes, "Yeah, Mins hasn't left yet," and I just started laughing. And you know what? It is what it is. We're here now. We're getting it done, and we're joined by Boyc. Boyc, you know, we just talked about our day. How's your day going, man?
Well, I kind of on the same page as you guys. I kind of sat here for half an hour before everyone got here, just chatting with Night Flash, waiting for everybody. I've literally done nothing. I have been enjoying the off season and just playing Rust for the last 4 hours today out of boredom. Nothing else.
That's completely fair. It's all you can ask for in these little interludes between the seasons. And honestly, for anybody who's done an interview on the Fuel Report, you're already plenty aware. We like our pre-game chit-chat. So, you know, chat with Night Flash and the rest of the crew is just sort of part of your pre-game prep process. But I guess I'll dive into the nitty-gritty, hit you with an actual question here. Valorant, you know, like you said, we're on the off season. Your season has wrapped up. How was the season as a whole, as you're so entrenched in our Valorant program in general?
I mean, just for the perspective of the main roster, we kind of just went into the season expecting, okay, we might not do good. We didn't know where we were going to get placed. We had Swarns, we had Toasty. We didn't know if he'd be able to play or not, and he comes in halfway through the season after we lost Elko. And I'm not disappointed. Obviously, we could have done a lot better. I think we had a chance to do better, but no one was really upset with how it ended. And for the other teams, it's whatever. Academy didn't make it to playoffs. Rising went out first round. It was a season where we lost our entire main roster except for Alco. We had one guy left, and I at the start of the season didn't even want to play. I just played because they decided that we didn't really have anyone else that we wanted. So, considering all of that, not that bad.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for the position you have for being that manager for Fuel Valorant, because I myself, I always questioned it, and I'm always just curious on this side as well, as you have to sort of manage in behind for the Field Rising, the Field Academy, and the main field, and then on top of it, you're actually playing for the field team too. How is it just managing? What is kind of going through just a normal day for that?
I mean, this semester was pretty much nothing to do. Everyone just kind of did their own thing. It would be a lot harder. When I look at it from a perspective not collegiate, none of our teams actually practiced. I've maybe booked a couple scrims for Academy the whole season. None of them actually practiced. The schedules just did not work for any team. So there wasn't really much for me to do other than the first 2 weeks just getting matches sorted. There was a couple problems we had where maybe I had to talk to admins. It's not a lot. It might sound like a lot, but this semester it was not. Last semester was worse, when we had some player issues that had to be resolved. Didn't really have anything like that this semester, thankfully. So it wasn't a lot, actually. Just kind of making sure everyone was actually able to show up.
Going through the tryout sessions, though, you kind of have to overview everything on that. How do you feel sort of maybe seeing someone that's they could be making it for the field main team, but you sort of have to put them down to the academy team? How is that such a struggle to get into that sort of mindset to be I need to make these hard decisions?
I mean, yeah, tryouts was annoying, but like I've done it enough times that I've kind of just acknowledged like, okay, I can't make everybody happy, and there's gonna be people that are upset with me regardless. There was gonna be either way. It's like there's always gonna be people that think they deserve the spot, and obviously I'm not gonna name names. There's a lot of people that think that they deserve the spot, and to be blunt, most of the time you probably don't. But if you can prove it to me, then sure. We gave a bunch of people a shot on the main roster for my spot because I wasn't wanting to play at the beginning, and I was trialing people to take my spot. And after we had Alec and Alco, Swarns and Akimbo, we wanted someone to replace me, and we're like, okay, we'll try a bunch of people, see how it goes. And at the end, just like, yeah, no, just stay. We gave them a shot, and I didn't want to take it. So I know I had some people actually say, like, people were saying that I was keeping the spot, like, for myself because it was my decision. I wanted to leave. I did not want to do that. I just did it for the sake of, so we had someone. So we could be, like, the best that we had.
Well, you know what? When it comes down to sports, esports, anything in life, you kind of got to go with the best pick available, you know what I mean? It might not be perfect, it might not be ideal, and on the field report in general, we talk so much about synergy, and you could have a 1A guy who's capable of going on a burner, for example, but he just doesn't fit with the team, doesn't fit with the play style, and then you might have more of a 2B supporting guy who maybe might not have the same gun skill or something, but just fits so much better, plays the role more crucially, and that's some of the foresight that an average esport player just might miss out on, and that might be an insight and a perspective you've gained through your manyest roles here at the Fuel. I want to take things in a slightly different direction. You talked about how you had a really new roster coming into this year. Looking into next year, it already looks like you might not get a Swarns back. You had an Alco step away in the middle of the year. How's the team looking going into next year?
I have zero clue. I have no idea. Slip and Sustain are supposed to come back. So that's two guys that will probably just have that off the bat because they've been there previously. Akimbo probably coming back. Alec is actually going to Western, so we can't keep him anymore. I didn't know that until like last week. Oh. So we really only need 2 spots. Again, I'm not planning on playing, at least not for the main roster, because I've got other stuff going on I got to focus on. But we'll see who we got. I know I had a lot of people from the open houses and people that have messaged me that are really talented, and like other people that have like Tier 3 pro experience that are coming, whether they did good or not doesn't really matter, it's still experience. Really just got to see who comes in the fall, because it could be really good, it could be the exact same thing. I have no idea.
Yeah, and that's a lot of esports around here. You get new blood in the fall, and the whole roster can change, or it can just stay completely the same. So I guess my next question is going to be sort of, how do you think that esports clubs, especially collegiate ones, can sort of maintain success when you have such a high turnover rate of students? Every year more and more students graduate, more and more students leave. So in your eyes, what do you think the solution to that is?
I mean, if you look in like the U.S., the way the U.S. does, they just throw money at everybody. Anyone that's remotely decent, they're just like, here's $2,000, $3,000 scholarship. The difference is for them, their tuitions are like $60,000, and that's obviously, going to help a lot towards that. Obviously, we can't do that, but for us, we kind of just have to go with what we have. We have a lot to offer, and most of it is just you have to make sure that you're showcasing what you have to offer as a program, so you still have that intake of talent, rather than just hoping that someone shows up, because there is obviously a big player base for games like Valorant and everything, but for the smaller games or like games that are less popular now, if you're not promoting that to people, they're not even, like, there's probably players here at Fanshawe that are really good, and they just don't even know we exist, or they just don't care, because they don't know what we offer. And a lot of other college programs all over North America, they suck at promoting, like, what they offer, or they just have nothing to offer in the first place.
Going into that as well, though, like you're saying, they're just keep dishing all this money into it. I guess maybe this is a little bit of the side door onto this, but I don't know too much about this, but I have seen it sort of happen in Call of Duty that, well, yes, there was that ringing that was going on, but players do kind of get poached around. And I'm just curious on Valorant for maybe even Field, but have you even heard of any sort of players getting poached to any teams?
I mean, Like, sorry, do you mean from collegiate to a pro team, or like college teams just paying people to come play for them?
College teams, yeah.
So, you guys know Fisher, obviously, right?
Yes.
So Fisher Navy's Valorant team is literally just Levitate Esports, which is the tier 2 team. It's literally the exact same team. It's
Really?
the exact same. It's the same roster. They play collegiate events under Fisher, and then every other thing they're under Levitate.
And what are like the rules behind that?
Nothing. They're all students. They live in the Fisher dorms. They all live in the Fisher dorms. They all go to class. It's literally just like if you have the scholarships and they all want to go, what's stopping you? Maryville. You guys know Maryville, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just signed literally. It's literally like they went through the VLR listings of just people that weren't on an active roster and just picked the top 5 from the stats list, and that's their Val team now. I can't even remember the names. I know they got a couple people I've met before, but it was all like pros that took a step back because they like when the franchise league came out, a lot of people stepped down because you couldn't really keep going in the tier 2 scene without some kind of support. So Maryville's just like, hey, you wanted support, we'll give you. They gave them all full rides and said, just come play so you can keep playing. There's nothing explicitly wrong with that because they're all students. Like they're not just paying them and taking an online course. Like they're all moving to Maryville, staying in dorms. I don't really know of anything like, because not a lot of places are still doing the online stuff where it's like just pay to take 2 courses. You can't really get away with that. CVAL verification's pretty good to avoid that too, so I don't really know any issues like that. But there's a lot of colleges that just sign pro players. Northwood too.
Yeah, and I want to hop in on that, and because you know what, Alex, it's an interesting point for you to bring up, and I'll just sort of toss this perspective in there as well. When you look at Apex, you know what I mean? It's this exact sort of scene where just by how those leagues are formatted, where they don't want those collegiate exclusive leagues going down, you can have pro players leaking in. You could have anybody sort of coming to join, you know what I mean? So ultimately, I just feel like for the purist of your esports watchers, they might not be a big fan of having those high-level competition because, collegiate and professional across sports and esports, they are seen as sort of 2 separate entities, and now we're sort of seeing this mixing and mashing potential here throughout multiple various esports. So for me, I don't actually have a personal opinion on the benefits, the negatives, but I just feel like it's an interesting thing that we're seeing more of now.
Yeah, I just don't really kind of get my like whole standing around it just because I know like I guess this is like the high school base, but like when you had like rep players or very more like on the professional end players, they were not really able to play for high school sort of teams. And I just don't know if that rule should kind of play out for esport players too. And especially even just in the like college sort of level that they're here, they play at such a high professional level. What kind of gives them the rights to play against some of these college players that, like they're just trying to do this just to have some fun and play in a league that they might not be able to reach to a professional level.
You know what, Mins? I completely agree with you on that point. I actually have very strong feelings about this topic, especially like not so much in NECC or NACE, but in something like CVAL or CCL or CLOL, where you're competing for a prize pool. Like CCL's prize pool this year was $45K, which like in theory, like in the esports world, is not a lot of money, right? Like we see tournaments for $1 million+ nowadays, but for a college student, $45K can go a long way. Even split, 4 ways, 5 ways. Well, for COD it would be 4. But yeah, no, I think that having because everybody always says like, oh, we should treat esports like real sports, right? Like that's what we're pushing for. That's what we're pushing for. But in any real sport, once you go professional, you cannot go back down to the NCAA or, at a college level. And also, these players that are on full ride scholarships for esports, right, which I am completely fine with, but no other league are you competing for money. No actual, like, college sport are you competing for a cash prize or the XYZ. You're competing for bragging rights. You're competing for a ring. You're competing to sort of represent your school and show your pride. And yeah, do you get a free education because you're extremely talented? Yes, but you're at the end of the day, you're not putting any money directly in your pocket. You might get that NFL contract or that NBA contract, but you yourself are not actually like earning money from playing at a collegiate level, or you're not supposed to be. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are on that.
No.
I'm just really curious, like, boys, like, your thoughts about it. Just because, like, no offense to Swarns whatsoever. I guess he just is one of those players that, yeah, he went into a high competitive league to play against. And there was times that, yeah, I overheard that, like, he was more focusing on his other team that he was on for his league instead of actually looking at the field team. Like, I just feel like, you know, there's players like Big Homie and Slippery that have shown great strides on coming out to play for the field team. And I was just curious to more hear about your thoughts for it.
I want to touch on the one thing you said. You said when you like go to the NFL or NBA, you can't go back to the NCAA. Is that an actual rule?
Yes.
That's an actual thing.
Yeah,
I
it
had
is.
no idea that was an actual thing.
Yeah, when you go pro, like, you are absolutely done. And you don't have to even be NBA. Like, if you play overseas in a European league, like any professional league, you're done.
Okay, but here's where I think that switches. Like, when you go pro in the NFL, like, what's the average age of an NFL NBA pro? Like, what is the age of that? Like, all of them are going to be over, like, 19, 20 mostly, right? What is the average age of these guys that are competing, like, Tier 3? Like, think Zekin on Sentinels, the kid's 17 and in high school. That's a Tier 1 pro in a franchise league, and he's 17. So if he gets cut from Sentinels because he played when he was 17, that he wouldn't be allowed to go play for if Northwood, which obviously the guy's a franchise Tier 1 player, he would get a full ride scholarship to any school in the U.S. There's zero question about that. And even the players that are on full ride scholarships, 90% of the players that are on scholarships would not cut it in even Tier 2. They would not. No. They would not make the disconnect between like Tier 1 professional in Val and CS and stuff like that compared to even the top highest level of college is massive. Like, in those like Northwood players, just because I'll use them because they're the world champions. They have two players, like Mocking was like one of the best IGLs in North America, and that was a common thing in Tier 2. But even him, like, has never been on a franchise team before, probably wouldn't make a franchise team. But all those players, why would we exclude them from that? Especially if it's a young player, you know? I would understand if it was like a Tier 1 professional league, but the people we're talking about, like even Swarns, Swarns is a really good player. He's playing like Tier 3, Tier 2 professional. And it's not like his team's kicking ass either. No disrespect to Swarns. I love the guys on that team. They're really good. But I don't think it's a fair comparison when we talk about like the age group of it specifically. And also what we consider pro in the NBA, like what's the percentage of going, like it's like 0.001% of people compared to how many people can compete in a Tier 3 pro league that's open with a $25 buy-in.
It's fair. That's fair.
Very different.
That's a fair point. I think mine just biggest thing, like you brought up the 17-year-old on the Sentinels. I can't remember what his name was. Yeah, but you said we would, like, if he got dropped, would we exclude him, right? Like, and I think in that case, like, I honestly do believe this, that, like, yes, he should be excluded from a CC or like a competitive league in collegiate, you know? Obviously, he's playing for a team, and he's getting his bag. Like, kid's 17, he's probably on what, like a $90,000 contract a year? More. Yeah.
More.
Like,
definitely more.
So,
Jeez.
you know.
Minimum contract in the franchise league is $50K a year. That's the bare minimum, and no one's getting the minimum.
Yeah. Jeez. So having, like, you know, good for him, right? The kid's getting his bag, and I respect that. You know what? Like, get your bread and make it. But, like, at that point, right, giving him a full ride scholarship is kind of like null and void. If he's making over $50K a year, right? We briefly talked.
It's also taken away from maybe a younger or up and coming player who hasn't had that opportunity, that exposure. Like, for me, I guess the best way, sorry to jump you off, but the best way I could describe it is when you have these guys that have established an ability to thrive and find success at the highest level, you need to leave the door open and keep those development pipelines on, because you never know. A guy could hit college, get a season, and then turn it up coming out of college, and it's just, do you really want to lose that seat and opportunity for someone else? And I see it both ways. You know, you're right, boys. They're young, and why stop them? And there is really no super fair reason you could say to stop them. But before we continue this conversation, for those of you who are watching this on the Field Report tomorrow, feel free to dive into the Twitch chat, give your take on college and pros playing in at the college level, and we can discuss it a bit when we come out the back end of the interview. But for me, it's just, I don't feel like we'll ever be able to get a sort of definitive answer on this question.
Can I just jump in and just make one more counterpoint on that? Is like, when you think like scholarships, like people will get scholarships if they're like really smart, they're good at math, like some kind of academic scholarship. Are you giving that person a scholarship because they're already good at something, or because you want to develop them?
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. Like, you're not going to give a if someone's already really good, you've got some kid genius, like I was thinking of a name and I lost it already. But you've got some kid genius. You're giving them a scholarship because they're a kid genius, not because, oh yeah, we can make this kid smarter. There's 100 people that would fit that bill. And just the whole like leaving the door open. This just happened one of my players that I used to coach, Gen G signed them, and Gen G, like the APAC team, they have a North American Game Changers team, and they signed a bunch of really young players that don't really have a lot of experience, not that good individually, and they signed all of them to contracts. They have like an 8-man roster, and a bunch of them are all really young, and I can probably name like 30 plus players that are better than all of them that deserve that spot more than them. And when they signed that team, everyone was having a meltdown because they're like, there's so many better players, there's so many better teams you could have picked up. Why would you do this? And I get that point, but at the same time, people love to say, oh my God, actually, another great point. Disguised?
Yeah.
Disguised Toast?
Yes.
He started his own org, and they were signing a Game Changers team, and they've signed a bunch of streamers and one pro player to lead them, like Kaide and Quarter Jade. They were all playing. People were losing their minds about that, saying, oh, I'm better than them. We deserve that opportunity more. And just to go off that point, if you deserved it, why aren't you there? Like, they should be taking what's best for them, right? Mm-hmm. And if a school is going to throw money at someone, they want what's best for them, not someone that they have potential, but they're not there yet. Why would you get that when there's someone that's already literally the best you can get?
Yeah, I guess I can see it from both ways, For instance, you brought up a kid genius getting a scholarship. I think it's a little bit of both. Yes, they're already a genius, right? They already have that basic sort of knowledge. And it could be, obviously, if they're getting a full ride scholarship for mathematics or science or whatever it may be, it's past a basic knowledge, right? Like, you're clearly thinking, okay, this guy could be the next Einstein or the next Isaac Newton or whatever, right? But I think the reason that you offer them a full ride scholarship is partially because, yes, they're already a genius and they make your school really good. But I also think that it's, the school will have a good impact on this person. They will, certain profs will be able to sort of activate this person into becoming who they're meant to be or who they can be. So I think it's a little bit of both. And I don't know. I think we should sort of lay this topic to rest as just sort of open-ended. Let the chat discuss. But I think I can see both sides. I think that if we want esports to be taken seriously, I think that we should treat it more like the NCAA or whatever, instead of saying, oh yeah, you were in your bag playing pro. Like I can name a few professional COD players who dropped down and then went and played for Bay State, and then Fisher bought them out. You have Silly from LAG. That was massive news. You know what? Silly dropped down from the CDL, didn't want to play in Challengers because Challengers is a joke, came and played in the CCL where there's a cash prize. I can't remember if they won or not, but that's not really the point. You know what? You were signed on a franchise team in your bag because just like Valorant contracts, COD contracts are blown through the roof. Mm-hmm. And now you're getting a full ride scholarship, so you're not spending any of that money, right? And you're competing to put more money in your pocket and take it out of, potentially a college student who could actually really use at that point, I think their prize pool was $30K or whatever, but could use that money to further themselves in life while you don't need it, and it really comes down to sort of like people being greedy at that point.
Plus, I don't know. I think it gives some players some false hope then, because they're playing onto this Fuel Academy team, for example, and they see this main Fuel team that they want to play on. They want to get to that team. They're grinding so hard on the Fuel Academy. They're working to try and get to that Fuel level, that Fuel varsity level. But all of a sudden, they're just grabbing people from a higher professional level and just bringing them onto the team or something. For a prime example, it gives them false hope then that these players, it's like, wow, like, will I ever get the chance to actually play on our main field team? Like, it just kind of just brings it into a separate, maybe like league almost, like exactly what we were sort of saying with NCAA.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. And, I guess we'll leave it up to the chat to decide on that one. I have a fresh direction for us to head in this conversation here. Boyce, I'd argue you're one of the most known members in Fuel overall. How'd you even get started here? What was your introduction to Fuel? How did you end up in the position you're in now?
I just finished. This is my third year. I just finished my third year at Fanshot. I've been part of Fuel since I got here. It would have been the fall of 2020 was when I started here, and it was I was playing Counter-Strike for Fuel way back. I was playing with Ugo Splata, actually, the current CS captain, and Jace. I don't even know if you guys would remember Jace Prime KJ. It was the old Val captain when I first started playing Val, but I played CS with him forever ago. Played that for 2 semesters, and then was pretty burnt out. That was like right when Val was releasing, so it was a new game. I tried it a little bit, and then Jace convinced me to start trying Val. I'm like, okay, man, sure, because I had a bunch of friends that were playing it, so I started playing it. And I'm like, this is kind of fun. I don't think I touched Counter-Strike for like the next year and a half. Just didn't touch the game. And I just started playing Val because I was enjoying it. Never really took it seriously. And then Jace was just like, yo, we don't have a Val team at Fanshawe. Like, let's start one. We at least have a CS background. I was dog shit at Val. I was so bad our first semester. All of us were. The team was like, we were in Challengers. But back then, Challengers, even though it was a second tier, it was awful. It was so bad because it was such a new thing that it wasn't really grown yet compared to how it is now, where it never should have happened. I think I was actually like Silver the first semester we played. I started out in Silver when we first started playing because we had no one else. And then I stuck with that. Jace left, and I kind of just stayed. Second semester, we played. And then when we came back, that was when we had Dakota and Seth, and we put them on the roster, and I kind of took a backseat, and I was playing with the Tier 2 team. Didn't feel like doing that anymore for a multitude of reasons. And then I just kind of, I don't know, I'd always just been the captain of the T1 team, and when I got a backseat, I'd kind of just stayed and kept running things behind the scenes so people could focus, and it's kind of it. I just stuck around. I just kept doing what I had to do, whatever needed to be done. And
you said it shouldn't have happened with Silver's ripping Valorant there in that initial semester, but for me, I would say it's almost a unique opportunity. You know what I mean? That's why I love having 2 teams, 3 teams, because it's those guys that may never have had the opportunity to get their toes in the water that could have developed, because what, you get that experience, you get that adrenaline rush of playing. It doesn't matter if you get rolled every game, because at the end of the day, you've gotten that taste, you've gotten that experience, and at minimum, for at least some players, that's going to be some additional motivation for you to come back and do more. And you know what? Ultimately, look at you now. You know what I mean? You're playing on Team 1, much to the chagrin of yourself, but you're so immersed and involved in the Fuel community at this point that clearly it all worked out for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, even back then we only had one team, so it was like there was nowhere to pull from. It was the first time we had it, and it was kind of just we wanted to play for the sake of playing. So I was buddies with Jace. Back then, that was when Slip started playing too. I don't remember if you guys remember C-Boy. He was there too. I don't even think Mins might have been around for C-Boy.
Yeah, I was around for C-Boy. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The original
OG.
Mins and Dadis Valcasts. What a show that was. I still remember the one clip, and I know this is how I know that you were around for C-Boy, because this is 100% we were playing with C-Boy. Me, Slip, C-Boy, Jace, and I don't know why I can't remember who our 5th was. Might have been Curve.
It could
I
have been
remember it was like a 1v3. I think I was in a 1v3 and with Spike Planet, and I won after the spike went off, and you just kind of go like, and that's going to be the end of the round, and then dead air for like 5 seconds. You go, oh wait, they won. And you just didn't even realize that.
Honestly, at the start of productions, man, it was wild because I had to observe and then make sure I was like transitioning to different scenes as well. And like, there were so many times like Baddest, he didn't know Valorant that much. So like, I had to do so much by myself to figure things out. And that was one of the best moments because like, I was not completely focused on the game whatsoever. And then I just saw you snuck it in and I was like, hold up. They are winning this.
The original Mins and Baddest casts were a sight to behold.
But I heard the original Mins and Baddest Rocket League casts were a little legendary. That's what I've been told. That's all I'm saying out here.
Oh, I always just took such a left turn with the Rocket League casting, like, because I didn't know like the game like that well, but like I understood like this. Yeah, I understood soccer. I understood like the style of how Rocket League was really being played, but like naming things like how Rocket League, like how they actually name it, I was not the greatest at. Baddest was more on that side, so I just kind of filled in with like other commentating stuff. But I know our other producers, they questioned me a lot, but I don't know. I think people liked it, so I just kept with it.
I mean, you know what? Look at where we are now. So clearly you did something right. Otherwise, the fuel wouldn't be where we are. You know, we're talking about the past here, and I would be remiss to bring this up because I would feel like I missed my opportunity. Boys, do you watch the Fuel Report?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I work weekends, and you always do the broadcast while I'm working. So I can't watch it live most of the time. I've seen maybe like 2 or 3 episodes.
Okay. Did you see the episode where me and Reader went at it over some clips?
Maybe?
Okay.
What were the clips?
It was between a 15-second ace that I got in Valorant beta, and you got, I think you got a 4K on Icebox.
Oh, it was me walking through the Viper wall.
Yes.
I did see that episode.
Okay, I have to ask, how, Reader kind of shredded me on my 15-second ace. What is your opinion on it as our in-house professional?
I don't remember the clip.
Okay, all right, well.
I don't remember the clip.
You know what?
I feel like maybe I saw it, but I cannot remember what happened. I can't remember what it looked like.
It was a
I
bit
have
of
no
a,
idea.
It was an Omen TP under that, like, junk pile on Haven, I think.
Yeah, I have no idea. I
Okay.
don't remember the clip.
All right, never mind then.
I only wish he remembered it just so he could have been like, are you really going to make me like discredit you right here, right now, live in a segment?
You know what? Anything Reader says, I take with a grain of salt. But coming from somebody who actually coaches a Game Changers team, or used to, as you don't currently have a team to coach, is a manager for Fuel Valorant. I'm sorry, I've got voice in tears here. Manager for Fuel Valorant, T1 player, and also the Valorant coach. You know what?
Everyone, Reader does this every stream and says, the player, coach, and manager. Like I don't do that. I haven't done that in like a year.
Okay.
I haven't worked with any team other than the one that I was on in a year.
All right, player and manager.
And I've just let it slide until now. I've just never said anything.
There you go. Well, you heard it here first. He's not the coach. Player and manager, I would take the smoke from him gladly.
Whoa, hold on. No, okay, yeah, I'll let you finish that point there. That's fair to take the smoke from there. I can't like drop that comment and not pick it up instantly though. What's your interest level in a sort of coaching role?
I mean, obviously I want to coach. I just was doing it with a different team. So our teams don't practice. So there's not really much for me to do. So in theory, yeah, I am. In practice, I have done absolutely nothing. I've maybe sat in a couple calls with the academy team just to talk about things. Actually, Slippery was the one that was working with them mostly this semester just because he wasn't a student. But yeah, I did nothing this semester because no one practiced.
Fair enough.
In theory, I am. Just didn't actually do anything.
It still blows my mind that you guys don't practice whatsoever. I mean, I just feel like if you guys are wanting to try and achieve to get to like some sort of top end level for fuel, you would probably want to try and put a little bit of practice in. I mean, we were just talking about with just like even just NBA, NFL, like they all go to practice. They do the practicing.
Yeah, they get hit with a fine if they don't.
Yeah.
We have field players, there's a fine coming.
You're preaching to the choir right now. It's not that I didn't want to. It's just that we didn't.
No.
And
It's not that no one wanted to. We just didn't.
you know what? These changes might come over time, but thinking about changes, though, we were talking a bit about the past, about everything that was sort of changing along, though. I'm just curious more about you boys. For here being at Fuel, you are taking programs here at Fanshawe. What has kind of some of the changes been happening within your life from maybe things that sparked from happening at Fuel for programs that you're in right now?
I mean, like, Fuel is, like, where I started in, like, gaming and esports, everything. I never really took anything seriously before I got here. Obviously, that was 3 years ago. I never really even considered anything like that until I got here and I started working with people like Tyler and everyone else here. So I guess, like, everything I've done in esports kind of stemmed from here, but it's really hard to say, like, where things started, because obviously, like, I was coaching with YFP for a while. I'm still with them, but we're not currently coaching. I've gotten opportunities that have all stemmed from here. Like, I've met a lot of people that I've really liked to meet. Like, I met a lot of creators. I was just gone to a bunch of LANs. I'm going to one next week in Chicago. I was just in Toronto on Wednesday talking with the creator of Juvie, the 100 Thieves energy drink. I got to have a good conversation with people like that. I've just gotten to meet a lot of people. Like, a lot of people. And even, I was actually, when I was at the last Toronto LAN, I went there and I had my jersey on. This was before we had the field jersey. I had my Falcon jersey on. And the CEO or owner, I don't even remember what his title is, one of the guys that runs Toronto Serenity, which is the company that runs the TVAL LANs, I had, like, spoken to him, like, once, and he just comes up behind me. He's like, yo, what's up, big man? I'm like, oh, yo, what's going on? And I got to chat with him. Didn't think the guy would ever recognize me, but I guess he knew Fanshawe, and he'd seen stuff with that. Like, because I work outside of Fanshawe, the shoppers on Adelaide and Oxford, I went in there to do my route with Coca-Cola, and the cashier recognizes me from here.
Oh, that's the
No
weirdest.
way.
That is the weirdest thing.
There's
No
a guy,
way.
I feel bad because I forget his name, but he's the cashier at that shoppers, and I swear to God, the first time I went in that store, because I have to sign in with them, he's like, do you go to Fanshawe? I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you with Fanshawe Field? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think I've seen you. Like, he saw me in an open house before or something. I guess he's an incoming student. And he recognized me from here.
No way.
That's weird.
Well,
It's weird, but it's cool, right?
Oh, it's so weird, but it's so cool. Big shout out to that guy.
I feel like I'm doxing them. I don't know if I should say that. I don't know if I should be saying that because I feel like I'm doxing them now. But,
Well,
like,
you're not. You know,
I don't know
we're
what
not
his name
leaking
is.
his
I
name.
just know that guy, whoever that. I feel bad because I forget his name. If you're seeing this, I'm sorry. I'll see him on Thursday anyways when I go there. So
Yeah, and you're a G. But no, I've had people recognize me.
Really?
That's from doing an Overwatch stream or a Rainbow Six stream. I had somebody, like, I was not even, like, near campus whatsoever. I was walking in my neighborhood, like, down on Commissioners, and I had some, like, 15-year-old say, hey, you cast Rainbow Six for Fanshawe. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, how do you know that?
Where'd you find this information
Yeah, exactly.
about?
Like, I felt like I was like, do I need to move? Like, am I gonna have like a bunch? Like, is this gonna be like the Phase House in New York? Have people knocking on my door every day? Like, but no, nice kid. And you know, if you're watching this, shout out to you too. I can't remember that kid's name. That was a while ago. But yeah, it was so wild.
Yeah. And you know what? I think we slipped over this a little bit. I feel like we need to know a bit more about this. Coca-Cola, your job.
yeah,
You go around, you just like ship
I just
bunch
drive
of.
around and just put stuff on shelves.
It's a sick
That's
gig.
about it.
Do you get like?
No, I don't get free things. If that's what you're gonna ask.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
get a discount.
Oh,
on it.
come on.
Nothing ever falls off the truck.
No,
Oh.
no. I don't drive the truck. I
No.
just meet the truck there. It's already there. If it falls off the truck, I don't get to see it.
Oh, unfortunate.
It's already fallen off by the time I get there.
Unfortunate.
So that's all that you just are doing.
Yeah.
And like, is it just like certain destinations, or is there like?
Usually the same stores every week, just because it's consistent. But I can go like anywhere. We do like everywhere from Sarnia to like Brampton is its own place, and they go like Brampton and north. So we're like up to like Brantford-ish, KW maybe. I don't actually know where we cut off north side, but we go all the way to Sarnia.
Brampton.
That's actually a pretty big radius.
That's
Yeah.
dude. That's like
There's got a lot. There's a lot of people. You got to think how big Coca-Cola is
That's
and
like-
how many people they have
that, like-
everywhere.
So do you have like a bit of like insiders on like new flavors that come before people, like when it like hits the shelves?
Like maybe a day or two warning.
Day or two? Okay, like
Would I be
Coca-Cola
allowed
vanilla.
to speak of it? No. So if you're asking questions, don't bother.
Oh, come on.
Redacted. It's redacted.
We can pretend I did, and Apollo can just bleep out the next 6 words I say and just pretend that I'm telling you something right now, and no one would ever know, right?
Boys, I gotta ask. Actually, we're on the topic of drinks here, right? And this, we're doing a little thing
Yeah.
with drinks later. That's gonna come later. I heard somebody say that you were pounding back a Naruto drink while you were working the desk. You apparently you
Working
had.
at the desk. That was during the quarterfinals match.
Okay, whatever. What was the drink? I'm
G
so.
Fuel.
Oh, okay.
It was. There's a gas station in Pond Mills that sells like the American cans of G Fuel. Don't think they're allowed to, but like, they have a bunch
Logan,
of
bleep it
the.
out.
They have a bunch of the cans. That you can't because you can't order them to Canada.
I
You can
know.
only get them in the U.S. And I didn't. That's just what was on it. It was called like Sage Mode or something. I've never had it.
Was it good?
No, not really.
G Fuel.
It
Step it up.
tasted like.
Spicy ramen.
No, I'm trying to think how to describe it. Yep, you know how like peaches and tangerines are not. Oh my god, peaches and what am I thinking about? What? There's another fruit that looks like a peach. Is it a tangerine?
Nectarine.
Nectarine. You ever think you're biting a peach and you bite into a nectarine? That's how I would describe that drink tasting like.
Oh.
Like I thought I was getting something, and then I feel like I got lied to.
Okay.
Fair.
That's fair.
So you didn't feel like you went into sage mode?
No. I don't even know what that. I don't watch Naruto. I don't know what that means.
Fair enough.
It was just the name on the can.
Fair enough.
It was okay, but
Well-
it's also a lot more caffeine than I ever need.
Well, I thought Night Flash was going to do a little bit of a peek into our tier list section and ask you a question based off of that. But I'm not going to
No.
give him the opportunity. But I am going to ask you a Field Report interview classic. Favorite game of all time?
Oh,
stole
you're
the
stealing it
question.
from me. Okay.
All time.
Okay.
All
time.
All time.
Can it be any genre?
Any
Yeah,
genre.
any genre.
Game. Like
Single
if you
player,
wanna say-
competitive.
what's that old game, Nintendo Dogs or whatever? Was that what it's called?
Duck
Nintendogs.
Hunter?
It was really called Nintendogs.
Yeah, Nintendo.
Yeah, yeah. It
Oh,
can
on
be
the
anything.
DS,
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
DS.
It can literally be anything.
Oh my god. The original. Okay, this is so hard because I've played so many different kinds of games. If I want to say like a classic game, I'm gonna give 2 because I'm split between 2. The original Star Wars Battlefront 2, not the one that was
Oh.
made, the PlayStation 2 one from like 2009.
I know what you're
have the Steam version of it, and I can like play it from time to time.
Fire.
I have a working copy and a working PS2 that I can still play it on.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
And so that was the game I played relentlessly when I was a kid. Not classic game. This is a really weird one. War Thunder. Solely because from like the time I was like 12 to 17, I was in Air Cadets and I wanted to be a pilot, and I have flown a ridiculous amount of sim hours, and that was what I played it all the time.
Honestly, I loved War Thunder growing up, so like, I love that pick. Honestly, love both your
love
picks.
it.
It's like such a different elk than the responses we've gotten. Love it. Love it.
Yeah,
At least I
I
actually
love
know
it.
these games. Apollo could literally strip together every single interview, and it's like, what's your favorite game? Bob goes such and such, and I'm looking there like, what the hell is such and such? And it's just been week in and out of that. So to hear games I've heard of before, bravo. Love it.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
like 3,000 hours on War Thunder. It's
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness.
It's ridiculous.
3,000 hours
I
with
don't
ads.
have even Counter-Strike. I have like 1,600, and I have a ridiculous. I've been playing since like 2015.
Oh my god.
That's a perfect segment to mine.
That's
That's
I don't wanna look at my
magnificent,
League of
though.
Legends hours played.
Oh, neither do I. I don't want to look at my League of Legends or especially
Destiny.
Destiny.
Destiny, yeah.
That game has soaked up way too much of my life. Now, I've got a kind of a similar question. It's another fun one. It's one of my podcast favorites. I'm not going to let you steal this one because CJ stole yours. I'm hopping on this real
CJ
quick.
stole mine.
Favorite, you know what? I'll go top 5 Val and CS skins.
Ooh.
Like 5 of each, or just
No,
rank?
just 5. You get 5.
None of them are going to be a Val skin.
Okay.
None of them are going to be a Val skin.
Rip
It's just Counter-Strike skins. Top 2, and I can't pick ones. Both ops, the op Gungnir and op Dragon Lore,
There you go.
and they're both ridiculously expensive. M9 Doppler, not Sapphire. I have a Phase 4, and that's why it's my favorite. And it actually looks like a Sapphire on Counter-Strike 2 now, the new Source 2 engine. I don't know what the hell they're doing with the rendering for Doppler patterns, but it's stupid. AK-47 Vulcan, which is a weird one, because it's not that, like, crazy. It's just another skin I've had for a really long time. Op Fade, 5th. Actually, no, I lied. Karambit Marble Fade, the Fire and Ice one, just the red and blue one.
Respectable.
Which is just another... I think that Valorant skins are overrated and overpriced for what they are. I don't think... I can't think of a single Valorant skin that is like, this is an absolute banger, I love everything they've done with this, other than maybe, and not because of the skin, just because of how the sound design is, the Prime set.
Oh,
I buy Val skins for the sound design, not for the visual.
I've got the Prime Vandal.
I have like both full sets, just
There you
because the sound design. I don't give a shit what the visual is on the skin. I just like how it sounds.
There you go.
If it sounds like garbage, I won't buy it.
It's all about the preference at that point.
Honestly, I just love when there was like such a big moment going around, like when people were like buying skins and stuff. It was like supposedly it was giving you better auto aim or something, or like aim assist.
People thought it had, and this is an actual thing. Some of them do more visible tracers, is what some people say, because it's not an actual thing. It's like a kind of a pseudo effect, I guess, because it looks like it's different because the muzzle effect is different, but it's really not. The only thing I would say, like the Blast X set, you can see darts on the wall where it hit.
That's sick.
Oh yeah.
But like that's not like a bonus. Like it's not a pay to win kind of thing. It's literally just it looks cool, so people like it. Like you couldn't tell the difference when you're shooting someone across the site. You can't see the darts anyways. It doesn't make a difference.
It's just always been such a funny theory. Like when I've heard people about it, it's like, oh, if you buy these skins, you'll probably be a better player because it's gonna help you out with your aim assist and stuff. And it's just like, what?
Skins equals wins, dude. Didn't you know
Skins
that?
equal wins. Okay.
That's why I've spent more than my tuition on Counter-Strike.
No, you haven't. Boys, no, you haven't.
I don't remember the exact number.
We're getting leaks here.
I will give you the whole. This is not including Val. This is only. I don't even know if I can pull this up on my phone. I don't know if it'll let me.
Just ballpark it.
Like my total. Okay, I don't know exactly how much of it was spent on CS. My total Steam withdrawn from PayPal is in 5 figures.
Oh my.
5 figures?
And it's not like barely 5 figures either.
Like, are we talking like, okay. So like, you say barely 5 figures. So are we talking like,
I don't mean
$10,
I'm not scraping 10K. Like it's a decent amount over.
Are you breaking like, is that number starting with a 2?
Kieran, I just love you just turned into like a whole financial advisor into this.
Is that
You're
number
like, hold
turned
up,
into
we
a
need to
2?
talk about
I
this.
don't think so.
Is it
I
close?
don't think so. Define close.
Like,
it's a lot. It's closer to 2 than it is to 1.
Okay. So like, it could then it could be like a 16.
I think it's 16 or 17 something.
Oh my God, that hurts my
listen,
soul.
Oh my
But you have to think, I've also sold like over $12,000 of skins, and I still like my account is still worth like $5,000.
Boys,
That's also including all the games I have.
You realize that you've spent more on.
I have spent more on Steam than I have my tuition in the last 3 years.
No. You've spent more on Steam than my car is worth.
Yep.
No. I can't, like, I don't know if I can indulge this question line any further.
I don't know.
Or else we're going to take Night Flash and Alex out over here in the corner. That's a lot. But you know what? I get, like, there's a bit of a business to Steam. You know what I mean? It's like you got your shoe flippers who have probably spent an ungodly amount in shoes. But, you know, you get some profit coming back. You got the inherent value. of your account as well, but no comment. You know, I spent a little bit of money on League of Legends skins, so it's not like I can talk. I don't know if I'm touching 4 figures, but like, I don't know if I'm touching 3 figures. But I bought some skins, I can say that.
He said 5.
I didn't hear that.
I mean, even Val,
Oh my goodness.
even Valorant, which you can't sell the skins, I've still probably spent close to 1,000.
No,
Or more.
No, I didn't hear it. I didn't
Oh
hear it.
my.
Yo, boys, can I get a loan? Since you're Mr. Moneybags over here.
The Counter-Strike stuff was because I look at it the same way as like someone who just like gets like penny stocks and trades it or something like that. Like if you have like a wealth symbol portfolio or something and you're just getting stocks and holding on to it. Like the skins I've had, my knife I've had for 4 years. And I bought my knife for like probably 700 Canadian 4 years ago. And now it's like $2,500. And it was literally, I got it as an investment. That was the whole thing. I'm like, okay, this will probably go up. I didn't expect it to go up that much. But most of the stuff I have is all like, okay, I'm getting this because it'll probably go up in 2 years. And I've held on to it for 2 years.
So when are you selling?
Well, now that CS2 is coming out, probably whenever I stop playing Counter-Strike, which will probably be soon.
So if you want Boyce's knife, bang his line.
Cash value, 2,200 Canadian.
There you
That's
go.
what I'll sell it for.
Oh my lord,
Okay.
it's turning all into
It's a
NF.
phase. I feel like I mentioned I might actually get in trouble for saying this because I remember I was trying to sell it a while ago before it was like 2,200, and I posted in the CS chat. I'm like, yo, does anyone want to buy my knife and gloves? My gloves were like $400 or something. The knife I was selling it for like 1,100. And I wanted to see who wanted it. And Tyler's like, be careful posting that stuff. Like, I don't want it to be like a marketplace. We might get in trouble. So I don't know if I should include this in the stream, but he did maybe cut out the part where we just said that we would sell it for that much.
Hey, I've been trying to sell my knife for like 5 episodes,
Yeah, that's such a
and
fact,
I haven't gotten
actually.
in trouble for it.
Knife
So
Flash
I think we're
been
good.
plug in his knife.
Okay,
By the
well,
way,
in that-
bang
in that
my line,
case-
13
In that
hundo.
case, you know where to find me.
Oh my god, it's all turning
I'll
all
keep
into
it in
NFTs.
A little bit of financial fuel report chit chat to end off our segment. Like I hear the top 10s whispering to me in the distance, but before I look to wrap things up, Night Flash, Alex, any last questions for Mr. Boyce here?
No, I'm just surprised how much things are sort of turning into like an NFT.
Actually, I got
God,
one.
it really does sound that way, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It does. It really does. I have one though. I can't go into the fuel server now without seeing your sticker
Yep.
popping
Which one? Because
everywhere.
there's 3 of them.
All of them. You take your pick. Either the JoJo hat, the cat ears, or just the JoJo hat unedited. You know what? At some point, it's got to feel good to be a meme, but at the same time, does that how does that affect you? Do you wake up, check the fuel server, see all the boy stickers, and you're like, let's go. That's some
I
premium
see-
gas.
I see Tyler's Good Morning Gamers, and then everything else is just my face. It makes people recognize me more.
Yeah,
I guess.
that's true.
Like people see me everywhere. I guess it helps. I literally, just about the cat ears thing. Because I put that on my Twitter too. Was that I posted the screenshot of the general chat just filled with my face with cat ears on it. I was filling scrims for someone, one of my friends, and I joined their call, and they were like introducing. He's like, "Oh, you're the guy with the cat ears, right?" It's more than Fanshawe. It's spreading. It's terrifying. I had someone, the Valorant scrim server where we book things. It's called Hangouts. Someone literally, I woke up one morning to like 6 mentions, and it's because someone I know from the community changed their server profile to me and Cat Ears and changed the name to Cat Voice and was spamming
Cat
me
Voice.
with it. I'm not kidding. It happened.
Oh,
Korak, if you're watching this, I hate you.
We gotta end this segment on that.
No. Apollo, can you please make this interview called Interview with Cat Boys?
No.
You know, with the kibosh on it. Okay.
He's like, absolutely not. Well, you know what? Well, NFT talk, a little bit of Twitter talk, and the Boyce emoji run. On that note, I'm going to wrap things up here. I'm not letting us get into any more tangents. We're not going to listen to any more Discord tea around the Boyce stickers. But join us for Top 10s after this. Thank you for joining us for not just another interview on the Field Report, but the final interview of this season. Thank you for joining us for this interview and every interview before it. Thanks to my co-host, Mins, Night Flash. Thanks you boys for joining us. Little shout out to all our other interview guests throughout the year. Our fill-in, Mr. Reader, who made a couple appearances as well. And on that note, it's top 10 time. We'll see you in the next segment of the Field Report.